Welcome to episode 5 of Recall Japan. Today we'll be taking a look at week 4 of LJL. And yeah, it was a pretty, I don't want to say exciting week, but there's some good parts and some bad parts to this week.
You forgot to introduce us, Kevin?
Yeah, sorry, I
Well,
always forget.
famous viewers.
I always forget to introduce us. So, as always, I'm Kevin. I recently made that Sengoku video that's like 40 minutes long about how bad Sengoku is. And that kind of got popular. I didn't expect that to get popular. And with me, as always, is Josh. How are you doing, Josh? What's going on in your
I'm
week?
doing well today. As always, I've almost finished moving into my new place. I'm all here, and as I know a couple people were talking about it, hopefully it should be easier to see me now that you don't have the light directly coming from behind my head and creating this perfect silhouette. So welcome everyone to Recall Japan.
Mhm.
I did take a look at the video that you made for Sengoku Gaming, but it was 40 minutes long and my Japanese isn't very good. So could you give just a brief summary of what you were talking about for our English viewers?
Okay. Well, I mostly made that video because I was actually tired of talking about Sengoku, but I guess I can't escape Sengoku gaming anymore.
Just a
But
brief summary.
yeah, so basically, I just wanted to make a video talking about all the problems I thought Sengoku had, and my three main issues was the pick ban, the lack of communication, and for the third option, I put in the top lane, but it's not so much the top lane; it's more about like the management and like why they picked Donshu up. So first of all, if I want to talk about communication, the perfect game to look at is Rascal Justice versus Sengoku Gaming, which happened this week, which was one of the matches I went over. So I really liked the pick ban to an extent. Like if you looked at the finished product, like if you had no idea like anything about the game and you looked at the hang on, let me pull up the pick ban so I don't. So you see like don't choose on a tank like Ornn. You have a pretty good mid laner for Taka. Blank has a really good jungler. Like Jarvan's really strong right now. So perfect sense. Their bot lane matchup, Lucian Braum, that's really good. That can pretty much kill any bot lane. It's like one of the strongest bot lanes in the game. So at the end, like, if you just showed me those champions, I'd be like, wow, this is a really great pick ban. I don't really know about the Zir Nico matchup. Maybe you could tell me more about this. But when I watch the pick ban itself, like when you are on red side, you want the counter pick. So they early pick like Nico and I think Braum or something like that. And then for some reason they last pick Ornn into Rise. Like they knew that the Ornn would have to go into Rise. Obviously Donshu loses really hard, can't CS, doesn't do any damage, doesn't get any gold. It's kind of useless. So when you look at the actual drafting phase, it's still really bad. It makes absolutely no sense. I'd rather just send Nico to Donshu and just say, look, you're gonna feed anyways, just take Nico. Taka, you have to carry. What's your counter pick? What do you want against the Zir? And then I think Sengoku would have a really good draft. But besides that, the drafting is atrocious. The communication is atrocious. If you watch that game, like if you watch any of those games that I highlighted in their defeats, it's mostly like Blank not going in on time or going in too early, or the players not playing around Blank, or Blank not playing around the players. It's like it feels like I'm watching a solo queue game. Like when I'm playing solo queue and I can't talk to my teammates, and I see like my jungler just going in for absolutely no reason, I'm like, wait, what's going on? That's not a really good opportunity to go in. Like if we were all on the same page, maybe it could have worked, but you never know. Like there was one like last week against USG when Blank just like dove in to kill Keymaker on Lucian, and no one else was there to follow up. Donshu was super late to follow up. Rhino for some reason went the long way around to follow up. It's like it's really weird. It's such a weird like thing. It honestly feels like their mics are cut off and they're still playing League. Like, and you're only replacing like technically two players, but one is Japanese, so you'd think that there would be like less language barrier, and like Blank, I guess Blank could know how to speak Chinese and could know how to speak English, and Donshu apparently speaks Chinese, and Taka can speak English, so that's kind of weird. Like if you watch their games, it's really like it blows my mind how this like oriented this team is. Even though the players are like solid, they could be like a playoff contending team, but instead you see them and they're just like
What's
anything.
going on?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
want to say anything, but like I don't know what's the right word. It's just like there's no team synergy. They're not working together. There's just like solo queue. It feels like a game. I'm watching a game of solo queue.
Yeah, I kind of want to. I do agree that all the problems that you've talked about a little bit are big problems for Sengoku Gaming, but I do want to give them at least a little bit of credit this week because they really switched up their style in a lot of ways. Before we saw Blank trying to go up to the top lane and support Donshu, which we've already pretty much established as kind of a fool's errand. He's just not a strong enough player to contend with really anybody outside of a couple of the other low tier top laners. And he spent a lot of time setting up Odugi, and they really just kind of ran over Zeros and Alleycat fairly
Hmm.
early on in the game. And Donchu's on a tank, right? He's on the Ornn. He's got guaranteed utility. He's going to be useful somehow just because he plays Ornn. And with that in mind, like you talked about the draft and how it looked good on paper if you just saw the champions, and I think Sengoku is at least moving in the right direction. Um, After that, after the early game, after they start getting to the mid game, have to start team fighting is when they're starting to break down again. Because I don't think they're getting enough of a lead, but at least they are playing towards a win condition instead of just hoping that all of their players are good enough that they can team fight later in the game. Because they clearly aren't at that level right now. So I do like the transition that has gone on. And to go back to the Sengoku Gaming versus Rascal Jester game, I think if I mean, this is really hard to do, but if you just took out Cogcog and replaced him with, let's just say Arumik, Sengoku Gaming wins this game. I think. I think they have
Well,
enough of a
yeah.
lead early on, but Cogcog, as compared to Donshu, like Cogcog is a strong enough player. He was just allowed to free farm for so much of it that there was never a point at which Donshu could really come back into the game and really even contest a split push. So I think they're moving in the right direction, but they still suck.
Yeah, I mean, like when when you say like, oh, if they replace, the best player on the opposing team, then you can win. It's like that doesn't really give me much confidence. Like this team should be a playoff team. This team should at least try to contend for the LGL like title, but they're contending
Yeah.
for like last place. They're like tied for fifth, or if you want, or as I like to say it, they're tied for seventh, and they're gonna like they're down there with RJ, which they lost against. They're 1-1 right now. They're tied with USG, which they also lost against. It's like it really is like such a mind-boggling team. I don't know how else to like put it.
Yeah.
And
I
yeah,
I hope they can turn it around, but at this point, I mean, just a little bit more on the Sengoku versus Rascal Jester. I wasn't able to watch any of these games live, and so you were talking to Soba. We have a chat off on the side, and they were talking about how this last game or how these games went, and they're like, you just need to watch Sengoku Gaming versus Rascal Jester, and word for word, my exact response after I watched the game was, "What a stupid game." Like again, you actually look at how the goal totals are working out in this game, and at one point, Sengoku find themselves 7,000 gold ahead before they just lose two team fights because they didn't know how to coordinate. They didn't have enough vision to really do anything with, and Blank and Odigi weren't far enough ahead because they didn't team fight at all. We were talking about how bad Rascal Jester is at team fighting. It doesn't matter when your opponents are just going to stand on top of three Azir soldiers over and over and over again and just
hmm
let Ninja do insane damage. So it was definitely a situation where they can win these games if they just have like one person who just says, "Stop, we've gone too far." Right? Because that's what they ended up doing. They just overchased over and over and over again, but they just kind of like you're saying, they don't have that communication. Just be like, all right, nope, nope. Everybody go out. That guy's dead. Just leave him. Just get out of
yeah.
here. Because that's what it felt like to me. Actually, I'm curious.
I mean, I'm
Does
looking
your
at the
name actually
match
do
overview,
as much damage as I expected?
and well, according to the match history page, Single Gaming lost while having a gold lead of 320 gold. So that's kind
Oh
of
yeah,
like mind-boggling. And if you look at the damage dealt, basically the only person that did damage was Otiki's Lucian, and he didn't do as much damage as like the enemy team, like Azir and Varus. Like
Yeah.
like Blank almost did as much damage as Taka. Like I mean, I guess like everyone almost did as much damage as each other. They're all like hovering around like the 5 to 6, 7k damage dealt. So when you have like an Ornn dealing as much damage as Braum, that's kind of like
That's too low.
what the fuck? And then like I don't know,
Yeah.
everything I see, it's like I don't understand. It's so weird. Like it's just
Yeah.
like you like Taka's Nico was getting destroyed by Azir the whole game, and I don't know how that matchup usually goes, so I can't really comment on it. But I'm
It doesn't
just being by
sound
this
good
game.
in my head.
Yeah, like I don't see
Right.
Nico as like an early damage dealer, especially if we're going like Glacial Nico or Glacial Augment Nico. Then I feel like that does actually like no damage early on. So you basically
Yeah.
have one damage threat, which is like Lucian, and they have Rise, Varus, Azir, and even I guess Silas to an extent. So it's really like mind-blowingly confusing how not even one-dimensional, how just like no dimension this team is. When you have like when last season they were so successful, they would find like some like strength in their like players, and now I feel like they don't know what their own players are good at. Like it's just like I mean, I was complaining that giving Donshu Nico was stupid, but for this game I would rather have Donshu Nico and give Taka something that he can actually confidently carry at. Like I don't care what it is. Like it could be like maybe not even a meta champion, but as long as it's something that Taka believes he can win lane and Blank can assist in winning the lane, I just want them to pick it.
Yeah.
Like you can pick Malzahar, like whatever, just like more CC to lock down the mid lane so Blank can just get more kills. It's really weird. It's really dumb.
Yeah. I think it's interesting too if you compare this game in particular to the one that Sengoku Gaming also play against DFM later in the week. Because Odigi and Reina, especially with support from Blank, were going toe to toe with Utapon and Gang. Right? They had a pretty solid opportunity. They actually got first blood on Utapon to start the game off. And they looked fine. They look like a pretty solid lane, especially when we go so far as to praise Utapon and Gang is probably the strongest bot lane in the league a lot of the time. So it's like they clearly have win conditions. They just aren't playing to them. Right? And that's what the problem is with Sengoku over and over and over again. I think you talked a little bit about how the Korean influence of Blank and Pumandu coming in saying, no, this is a team game. We all got to be on the same page. All of our lanes are going to do fine, and then we're going to out-rotate the other teams. Like, yes, but this is still Japan. Most teams aren't good enough where that matters. You can solo carry games, and to kind of use that as a jumping-off point, I just want to go take a look at how Unsalted Stuff Gaming also did against DFM this week. And I'm on record as saying I think Dasher is one of, if not the best player in the LGL right now. And he is almost good enough to 1v9 against Detonation Focus Me if they give him the tools to do it. They were super far ahead for a significant part of the game. Let me pull up the match history again really quick because it was actually nuts how far ahead these guys were with basically only one player providing almost all of the gold lead. Yeah, so they would find themselves up 3,500 gold, and it was almost all Dasher over Saros, who was playing the Corki, which is one of these big power picks right now. And he's done this before. Dasher's done this before. He was playing the Zoe, where he really popped off, and it took Utapon making some crazy plays to shut him down. This time it was Evie who made a couple of crazy plays to shut down Dasher, but it's like, the fact that you can do that, the fact that players are at that level where a single player can just pop off and take total control just kind of shows where Japan is as a region. They're not at Korean level. It just isn't there. So stop playing like they are.
Yeah, I mean, like USG, like they kind of understand how to win games. Just play around Dasher, and hopefully Dasher can carry. And then Nation knows how to play around their carries. You know, give Saros Karma and let him protect like the other players on the team. Cause Saros' karma and like his Heimerding his eggs is like he's like the Keen of Japan. He's the Japanese Keen. Like not he's not Japanese faker. He's not popping off like solo carrying the whole game. He's just like an anti carry. He supports the rest of his team, and his team can pop off. So in that sense, I think Saros is really good at what he's good at. So when you see them play, like Saros is just like protecting Yutapon, like shielding everyone, moving in for engage with the movement speed buff, and Dash is just trying to kill as many people as possible by himself. Because I'm looking at the damage dealt, and Armix Aatrox did less damage than the Nautilus, which is like also it's two teams with terrible top laners like USG and Sengoku. So I think USG kind of understands how to win more than Sengoku does. Because when I watch this team, I don't see a good team, but I see a team that understands what they have to do in order to get that win, like in the current like moment. Like until Apame comes back, and at this point, like even if he does come back, it's gonna be hard for them to make playoffs with 6 losses already. Because that means like the other 3 teams in the top have to get like 4 to 6 more losses for them to even make it into the top 3.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be rough. It really think sucks for them, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the meta right now is really good for Dasher too, because he's been playing Corki for so long. He's been playing Corki when Corki was not considered all that good, and now that Corki and Azir are like the two mid laners that you see played in the majority of games, he's able to run around and kind of kill other people's lane opponents. Right? He's not necessarily worried about killing like Saros or Roki or his own lane opponent. He's going to be picking up that package and running to another lane and then killing everybody else on the map because he's just strong enough. He's going to catch people out with the way that he plays, and it's good enough to pick them up wins. So they were able to find a win up against Rascal Jester, who is another one of those teams who is currently towards the bottom. But that was kind of a game that I was expecting them to lose. So it's definitely showing that they can win games that you wouldn't expect to.
I was really liking the way USG is turning out so far. Like, even before the Rascal Jesters game, I had a feeling that they might pull out a win. Just because of the fact that I feel like they're finding their like own footing. Like, they're starting to understand what makes this team work. And, giving Enti Tom Kenji was great. Like, Keymaker's Ashe, he has some pretty good Ashe ults, like catching people out. And then Dasher just goes in and just kills everyone, which is like that's just what Dasher does. Like, he has Corki. He's just like, so basically Dasher's like 1v5. He has to gank for his team with Corki, because his jungler won't gank. He has to be an AD carry, because his AD carry can't auto attack. He has to also protect himself, that's why he has an escape. And he also has poke damage, because his top laner can't poke with Vlad. So he's basically trying to do everything, like, for his team, and he's like, it's working.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it. I'm taking a look at the game right now. He is almost their entire gold lead towards the end of the game. He has about half of their gold. He has 6 of their 10,000 gold lead on himself. So he's able to make it work just because of how well he's able to farm and move around the map. So again, Dasher, my vote for MVP thus far. He is very clearly taking a team that would otherwise be towards, or I guess that is towards the bottom, but he's making them look like they can actually have success later on in the season.
Yeah.
So.
No, Dasher alone is making me want to watch this team. Like, if there was no Dasher, I think they would actually be like 0-8 right now. But like, he is actually really good.
Yeah. So with that in mind, I do want to touch briefly on Rascal Jester, because my problems with Rascal Jester are very similar to what my problems with Sengoku Gaming were last week. Right?
Okay.
You look at a team that doesn't necessarily play to its win condition, and I saw this really heavily in their game versus Unsold Stuff Gaming. They go ahead and grab Cogcog Riven, which I'm sure Cogcog has played Riven at some point in the past. But it's definitely a pick that no matter what, you're going to need to camp for it and camp against it in order to make sure it doesn't pop off.
Yeah.
And Wyvern didn't come to the top lane once in the first 15 minutes of the game. Right? He just
Yeah.
completely ignored the lane, and he was trying to prop up their bottom lane, which Zeros and Alleycat, they're like Donshu tier.
Yeah, they're actually
They're
really
not
bad.
doing anything.
Like
Um,
Zeros and Alleycat look terrible. They look like they're losing to like Keymaker and Enti basically, and I thought Keymaker and Enti didn't look good together, but now then when I saw them play, I was like, wow, maybe Keymaker and Enti are like an actual competent bot lane, but I just feel like it's more like Zeros and Alleycat playing worse than Keymaker and Enti playing like really well, which is like it's really like mind-boggling how this team is like just you have the three guys, Cog, Wyvern, Ninja. They're all pretty solid and good. Then you have this like void in the bot lane, which is just like it does absolutely nothing and just gets killed. Like Zeros does like no damage this whole game. Like he's like
yeah, I mean, he's playing
he's not doing
Lethality
anything.
Varus. He actually does the most damage for his team.
Oh really?
Yeah, in this game.
Oh okay, maybe I'm wrong
Which
then
is
because I'm trying to remember what happened in this game, and all I remember is like he just loses lane, doesn't really do anything, and then because Cog's on Riven, and Armik does a good job not getting killed, and Wyvern's not doing a good job helping Cog get kills, it's like it turns out to be like a really bad game for Cog. And
Yeah.
Dasher's just popping off, going everywhere, like doing everything for the team, and I was just mostly impressed by Dasher. I think Dasher's like solidifying his spot as like a top player in the LGL.
Yeah. And do you remember the prediction I made last week about Rascal Jester actually winning games against Sunset Chef and Sengoku? They were going to camp the crap out of Donshu and Arumik, and one of them would collapse under the pressure.
Mhm.
They did that to Donshu. Donshu just totally collapsed
Yeah.
in their game. But they didn't even look at Arumik when they're playing the Riv and Olaf. Like, if you get on top of any character, I don't care what character it is, they're going to die to Olaf and Riven.
Yeah.
And they just didn't even try. They didn't even go up there whatsoever. And so it's, again, another situation of where Blake should be propping up Odigi and allowing him to really pop off in games. Wyvern needs to be doing that for Cog. Or Cog can be doing that for Wyvern, but either way, it requires Wyvern to be sitting up in the top half of the map so that these two players can work together. And they just didn't do that at all.
Yeah. I
You just
mean,
need to show me one style that works. You don't need to show me different ways of winning League of Legends. I know there are different ways of winning League of
Mhm.
Legends. I need to know that your team has one way of winning League of Legends.
yeah, this team, like when you're not a world's contending team, like I understand why the nation is trying to go for like different strategies because they're expected to go to worlds, and if you don't practice in the regular season, like oh we have to try this comp, we have to try with this player and see if we can win because we're really one-dimensional when we go to worlds. I'm more lenient towards the nation for losing against like V3 and Crest Gaming because they're just trying to like learn and improve, but Rascal just needs to get wins. They just need like if they make playoffs, if they get third or fourth, that's a huge like achievement for them. But so I don't think they should just trying to like oh we should like practice playing through bot because you don't have a bot lane. You have a mid lane and a top lane and jungler. So you should be learning like okay how like let's watch maybe IG is not a good example because their bot lane's half decent, but let's just imagine we have the rookie and the shy. We're just gonna play through mid and top, and hopefully we can play the game 3v5 that way. So I want to see that out of like Rascal Jesters, because they're not gonna win playing through bot.
Yeah, it's just like why when you watch Griffin, you don't see Tarzan really camping for Sword because he is
Mhm.
the weakest member of the team. You're not going to try and get him to pop off. You just want him to go even and look fine. And while it might not be the best comparison, because on their own, Zeros and Alleycat, Donshu, Keymaker and Anti are not going to look fine against these top teams. It's very rare in this day and age that they are going to collapse all on their own, right? In a 2v2, it's very rare that you find a significant total stomping. I think one counter example was like Art and Achimomo, which we'll talk a little bit more about
Hmm.
in a couple of minutes, but that's so unlikely that you just need to find one winning lane and cause it to collapse. And I think, again, both Sengoku and Rascal Jester have teams that can do that. They just need to do it.
Yeah.
Ah!
Yeah, I mean, it's upsetting. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to, like, because, I want the region to grow and improve. So it's hard for me to tell a coach to be like, hey, don't try to improve as a team. Just focus on your win condition and try to win that. Like, just do that one way and be one dimensional. And just, ignore your bot lane. Like, fuck them. They're, like, useless. Just go through Cog and Ninja. Like, that's why you brought them on. You want to win. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just like, it's so, like, I don't even, there's, like, no reason to, like, there's nothing exciting about this team for 2020. So I don't know what's their idea or vision. Like, because, like, Sengoku Gaming was exciting their first split because they had two rookies. And I was like, oh, this might be very interesting. Like, maybe next year or next season they could improve. But there's
And
no
they
one
were on
on this
track.
team. Yeah, and they were improving. Like, they were playing as a team. They're, like, trying out different styles. They're trying to see what fits their team. And I actually really enjoyed watching, like, these new players, like, trying to learn, trying to figure out what's their win condition. Like, what are they good at? What are they bad at? But,
Yeah.
like, when you look at Zeros, I guess Alicat's different because he's, like, role swapped. But I'm not excited about watching Zeros or Alicat next week. I only care, like, Rascal Jester is just, like, their top three, like, top jungle and mid. Besides that, I don't really care, and I don't really care about 2020 to see these players. Oh, can they improve? Because, I mean, most likely they won't. Like history has told me many times to not put in hype for, like, people who role swap or rookies until they actually show them. Because more often than not, rookies fall under pressure. They can't handle it. They're just not good enough on stage or whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm not excited
And we
about
already
RJ.
we already know about your opinion on Zerost.
I hate
Uh
Zerost. I think he's overrated. You can clip this too. I think Zerost, the only time Zerost was ever relevant was when he was on Den Nation Focus Me, when he was getting carried by Yutapon, Seros, like, I guess Catch there was that time. Vivid was still there. And he got carried. All he did was just farm and try not to end because he had a superstar support. Then Den Nation realized, wait a minute, this AD carry is really bad. Yo, Yutapon, can you play AD carry? And he's like, yeah, sure, why the fuck not? I could probably play better than him. And yeah, of course, he's playing better. They brought in Paz, Evie, whatever. And they now have a complete team. Ever since Zeros has left Dead Nation, he's always been like 6th place, 5th place, not even making playoffs and challenger series. It's like, he's done. Like, he hasn't shown anything for the last few years. There's nothing, I don't know anything about him. And what I do know about him behind the scenes, which I probably shouldn't reveal, but I know that he is pretty toxic and he has an attitude issue. So I don't know why he's still
Ooh.
on teams. I won't say which team it
Wow.
was, but he did get kicked off a few teams for having a toxic attitude.
Wow, I didn't know that at all. That's
I'll tell you when we're off stream. You'll probably be
Sure,
shocked
sure,
to find
sure.
out, but yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's pretty,
interesting.
like,
He's a
I don't like Zeros at all. Like, I don't care. He has a lot of fans, so every time I shit talk him, people start getting mad at me. But I honestly don't care. After watching RJ, I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I was done with him on V3 because they just got rid of him. They brought in Yutori Murashi. Yutori Murashi's like popping off. That team's like now an LGL playoff contending spot. Wherein, like, if there was a relegation, V3 would have been a relegation team with Zerost. I mean, obviously they got a new jungler, but, like,
yeah.
they, I mean, Zeros does not look good, and I don't like him as a player, not as a person, because I never really interacted with him. But he is not a good player. He is just like he's like, I want to say he's like Yutori Moeshi light with an asterisk. Like, he doesn't win lane, but if he finds the right team fight, he can play team fight champs really well. But that's like, okay, so you can't build a team around him. He's only like an addition if you have a good strong top, and mid, which I guess RG does have, but he's really like Alakad doesn't have enough experience and he's not looking too good. So this, I feel like the bot lane looks even worse than before.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I haven't really seen that team fighting from him in a while, so that's my rant about Zeros and RJ. Do you know the website called Games of Legends?
Yeah,
Okay.
GOL.gg. I use
Yeah,
it all the time.
GOL.gg. I've been using it a lot because I've been doing a lot of VOD reviews. You know, Dash has a 35% damage share on his team.
I knew it was gonna be high, but I wasn't expecting it to be that high.
The second place is 25% for Taka. Like,
Yeah, that's
Dasher
what you expect
does
to see when you
10%
see
more
a
damage than
high.
everyone
Yeah.
else. It's like, I was looking at some of these stats, and it's like, it's insane how much damage, how much damage, how much like gold he generates, how much pressure he generates. It's like, it really blows my mind. Oh, this
Yeah,
is a
I
good
mean-
segue actually. Who do you think does
Go for
more damage for his team higher than Dasher?
Wait. So
So Dasher,
somebody in the league has a
Mhm.
higher damage percentage for their team than Dasher does at 35%.
this person has 37% damage share.
Oh man. All right, I gotta look at a player list again.
I mean, I could also give you other hints. He has the highest CS per minute.
No. All right, I'm gonna take a guess. I'm going to guess that it's Luna.
Luna?
Luna or Art, in that order.
Luna. No, Luna doesn't do as much damage as everyone else. It's Art. Art does 37% damage. He also has the highest CS per minute, highest gold per minute, highest damage per minute. I guess that's all related. So
Yeah.
yeah, he does he does a lot of damage for his team, which I was kind of shocked to see, because I thought like it would be like Art and Luna like really close, like splitting the damage share together, but I guess that's not true. Like I guess they're like, I don't know. It's like, it's really weird. I didn't expect Art to do so much damage for his team because I thought Luna was also popping off. But-
Yeah, I mean that's a good spot to, as you said, kind of segue into
Yeah.
talking about CGA. So first off, let's just talk a little bit about their game against V3 Esports, because it was the two undefeated teams going head to head this last week, and only one team can come out on top, and it was in fact Crest Gaming Act, who, I'll be honest, this game was not close. They looked really good in almost every single position and just took total control of the entire map. I don't know how else to put it, because that was really it. They just made V3 look kind of silly.
I mean, their draft is also kind of questionable, to be honest. V3's draft. They almost had a
Yeah.
perfect game, but Luna had to tower dive it in at the very end. I don't know why. I guess he wasn't paying attention. He didn't realize it was going to be a perfect game. But that would have been like one of the few perfect games in the LGL that I can think of.
Yeah. They're pretty uncommon. Oh yeah, that's actually the only thing they give up. No turrets, no dragons.
Yeah.
No, not the Rift Herald. It was literally only the kill at the very end of the game, like as they were taking the
Mhm.
Nexus.
Luna's such a troll. You could have had the perfect game against V3. That would have like solidified, like, look how dominant we are. We are the best team in the LGL. We just perfect gamed V3. But Luna had to go like, I'm gonna throw it away. But you know what? In my eyes, it was a perfect game. I think, like,
We'd
the
ignore
draft.
that one.
The draft was really questionable. Like, that's the first thing that popped in my head when I watched the game. Because I also like went back and watched it and did a VOD review. Like, is Sona a meta pick? Is she powerful against Yumi? Like, I don't see why anyone would think that.
She's okay. I don't remember if I tweeted this or was just thinking this really hard, but I do not want to see Vivid Sona ever again.
Mhm. Yeah, it was really atrocious.
Yeah, and it made me think of a really old NA meme, Chowster.
Oh,
Chowster,
yes!
right. You remember that game where I think
Against
it was going up
TSM?
against TSM, yeah, and he just missed like every Sona ultimate like back to back to back and just kind of had no impact on the champion whatsoever.
Hmm.
It kind of reminded me of that watching Vivid try and play. He would just miss like point blank Sona ultimates. I think he flashed and grabbed like Sejuani with one of his ultimates, and it was just what's going on. I think of Vivid as like this very lane dominant support player, and Sona is not a lane dominant support.
Yeah.
Right, she is so squishy, and we saw that. We alluded to this briefly, but Art and Achamomo on the Tristana Yumi was like the only time I've ever seen a total 2v2 collapse. Right, Art just jumped forward and basically just killed whoever he wanted because Utoria and Vivid couldn't do anything against the combination. And that's part of why Art's damage numbers are absolutely insane. He ends the game 11, 0, and 2 on the Tristana because he takes total control over everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like the Sona, like I don't know. Maybe I'll make a video, like a Twitter video of who played Sona worse, Chowster with his Flash Crescendo, or Vivid. But I think Chowster still has that title, just based off memory. But I remember
Yeah.
Vivid not having his support item completed until like 15 minutes into the game or something like that, like or
Oh,
20
man.
minutes, some like insane number. Because I was watching the video, I was like, wait, why is there no vision on the map? And I'm like, oh wait, Vivid still has his regular support item, hasn't upgraded it yet, because he hasn't reached that gold threshold for it to like turn into a war item. I was like, what? That's so crazy. It's like they're getting soul killed, they're getting dove, like, and he got like Achamomo, I think is okay. I don't want to say he's good because I saw his thresh and that was kind of questionable. But I want to say he's an okay player. Like for someone who's just role swapped into that position, like he's doing pretty good. He plays like Yumi and Lux pretty well. Thresh is like I don't want to really see Thresh unless if you
It
practice
was
on it a
okay.
bit more.
It wasn't that bad. He just had like the one,
Yeah.
right? Like we have 2 games of Vivid Sona where it's like, man, that was trash 2 games in a row. Achamomo had like the one Thresh game where he did like it was mostly okay. He just had that one play where he missed the flash play. And that's like the one moment where I was like, oh, that was bad. But the rest of it was just it was there. It was a Thresh player.
Yeah.
Right. You could have put in almost anybody and you probably would have gotten the same result. But yeah, Art and Achamomo are very clearly a very good duo down in the bottom lane, and I don't think there's a whole lot more to talk about. Oh, Grendel was not particularly impressive, but we don't need him to be.
Yeah. I looked at
Right,
Grendel's stats. He has the lowest damage percentage out of everyone, except for like jungles and supports. But like in top mid and ADC, he has the lowest damage share. He has like
Yeah.
really low stats. Grendel, like he has negative CS in most of his games. He does like the least amount of damage. He has like the least amount of gold, which you can't attribute to the fact that maybe Art is taking a lot of that CS because Art is going around the map and taking CS. And Grendel's giving up CS, so Art can CS even more. So that can be a factor. But in any case, Grendel is what I want Donshu to be. Like, just someone that just, like, says, you know what? You are the carry. Like, you know, like Bengi was to Faker. It's like, oh, please, just take my CS. Carry me. Just like, here you go, Art. Here you go, Luna. Just take everything. Art just starts cleaning up like a vacuum cleaner. Soaking up all that CS. That's what I want Donshu to be. Like, Grendel, I don't think is a good top laner, but he's playing his role very well. Like, he understands that he is, like, not even like the second carry. He's like the third or fourth carry to the team, and he's just giving away everything so the team can carry him. And the team knows, like, okay, this is how we win games. This is how we're successful. And they're just doing that, and I think they're doing that very well. Like, he's not losing lane to, like, Paz. And Paz is a really, really good top laner. So I'm actually happy with Grendel's performance so far.
Yeah, the one thing I kind of want to talk about, you kind of made this point when looking at, I think it was Rascal Jester, where they're a team that's not going to have any opportunity to go to Worlds. Not really going to play internationally at all. And from them, we just need to see that they can pick up games somehow. Crest Gaming clearly has an opportunity, if they play well, to actually make it to Worlds this year, which is kind of surprising to me, considering that this team looked good last split, but is looking super, super dominant right now. And I want to see them start to play a little bit more through Grendel. They need to find a way to make him look better, because if they do go to international competition, they're not going to stand up to anything, right? I still think DFM will do better on the international stage than Crest Gaming, simply because you look at other regions like Grendel going up against even like NA stars like Licorice or Impact, or if you look at things like EU like Whippo and Wonder, like he's not going to have any chance at all against these guys. And then you just imagine putting Grendel up against the Shy, and like the Shy can literally play that game with 4 gold players on the rest of his team.
Yeah, and he has done so at one point. Couldn't. But I mean, I feel sorry for Grendel to say this, but I feel like they would be a better team if Nap came back, which is kind of like harsh to say.
I mean, Nap's good.
I think Nap's pretty good. Like, I've seen Nap play for a long time, and he doesn't practice as much as anyone else, but he's still like a really good player. He's just like, I feel like he's like naturally talented almost. So if they have Nap on the team, they can play through Nap. They can like win games through Nap. Because with Grendel, I haven't really seen anything from Grendel, and they're not playing through Grendel, so that may be a reason why. But there's nothing that I've seen to show me that like, oh, Grendel can be a top tier top laner, beating Paz and Evie. He just seems like a middle to bottom tier top laner who's just supporting his team very well.
Yeah. And so what does bring up a good point in the chat is like they have Nap on the bench, and so they do have the opportunity of potentially playing him if they go to international competition. But Nap, I mean, you already talked about he doesn't practice as much as everybody, and if he's taking a break for because I believe he's a college student at the same time. Yeah, he's a college student.
That's why he doesn't play that much.
Yeah, so if he were to come back, I mean, he's going to be a little bit out of practice because he hasn't been playing with the team nearly as much. And I don't know if this team, right? You say if you just plug and play Nap over Grendel, they should be better. And in my head, that makes sense. But you look at where else they've done that. Like if you just take the exact same team for Sengoku and imagine they still have the same top laner, Rhea, right? It was Rhea instead of Yanshu. You just plug and play blank. I think this team still has pretty similar issues to what they had before. Like I don't think it's that easy to just plug and play, right? You also look at Ramune, who we both thought was like, if you just plug and play Ramune over Seros, it should make DFM look better. And admittedly, they did lose to the 2 teams who are currently in first and second, but they also looked just significantly worse with what we thought was a better player. So it is a little bit more complicated than that. So I don't know.
It just adds a new dimension to your team, and when you've played one style for so long, like Dead Nation has with Seros, like Seros has one style. He doesn't play like, he's not very good on assassins, like except for in the LGL. He can play LeBlanc, and if you've seen him play Sylas, he did pretty well in like international competition.
You're giving me bad flashbacks right now.
What about
Sarah's playing assassins?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like at international competition, he's like terrible, except for like Heimerdinger and Ziggs and Karma. He is absolutely terrible.
And
so that's why
Vel'Koz is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's Vel'Koz too. Like those kinds of like control mage like picks who just sit in the lane and farm and poke or like harass. Like that's what he's good at. He's not good at taking control of the game or leading the team. He's just like, he's pretty much like a support in the mid lane. And when you have a jungler that's played with that for a really long time, or a top lane or an AD carry or whatever, it's really disorientating when you have to like try to play a different style that you're not comfortable on. And maybe Ramune also has communication issues. Well, that's what their coach Kazu said. Like, I'm pretty sure it's public. if it's not I fucked up, but like he said that like they didn't Ramune is not really working well together with the team, like communication wise, and he brings a completely new style that they like and they want to improve on, but they're not able to improve on it. So that's why I want to see more Ramune, but I also want to like see that nation not suck. So it's like kind of like, which one do you want? Like, so you have to lose to get better, but if you lose, it's kind of like tilting or annoying.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they should do. I mean, maybe I think they should just put in Ramune for like the weaker opponents, and then just put in what's his face, Saros for the tougher opponents. Just win against V3 and Crest Gaming. Practice against like Access, Sengoku at this point, Rascal Jester, those like bottom tier teams, and then just try to improve and try to like get better. Because you can win LGL with Saros. I think that's easy, but you're not going to win Worlds, or not win Worlds, but you're not going to do well at Worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fair. You were talking about Saros playing Assassins, and it just takes me back to, I think it was 2017 finals between Detonation Focus Me and Rampage at the time, where Saros in Game 5 brings out like the first Echo we've seen of him for the entire split. And he plays Echo like I play Echo, and that's not a comp.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to play Echo like a control mage is just not how the champion works. But with that in mind, I do agree. I would like to see Ramune get more playtime when they're confident they can get wins, because that's one of the things. A bit of a tangent. I think a lot of teams, especially at lower levels, it's really good to practice against a team that's worse than you when you're trying to do something new, because you need to see it work, right? Even if it's not the greatest strategy, you need to see it work. And if you do it against a weaker team where it's almost definitely going to work no matter what you do, then it's good, because then you can evaluate, it's like, yes, that felt really strong, or no, that didn't feel really good. We just won because we're better players.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things that Detonation
Yeah.
Focus Me can do a lot more with Ramune. It's like, if they have it against the the bottom teams, Axes, not Burning Core, Sengoku, USG, Rascal Jester, and just evaluate from there. It's like, yeah, is Ramune good? Is this a good strategy, or is it just working because we're Detonation Focus Me and we're good players?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you slowly ramp up and then you try against the top team. But okay, I now know what game you're talking about. This was 2017 Summer Finals.
Yeah, I
that
have
was
it up
when,
right now. I'm watching it. It's tilting
Oh,
the
okay.
crap out of me.
Yes.
Watch again.
So I just mentioned it's if they picked Oriana 5 times, and I remember that game because I went to go watch it live, and we were watching draft. I was like, oh, if they picked Oriana in this game, that would be perfect. But they just started picking like Vel'Koz or some like Ziggs, Heimerdinger, his usual like weird stuff. Like I was like, what? Why not Oriana? It was like it feels like such a perfect champion for him. Where is that game?
Yeah.
I needed. Yeah, it was like they lost 2-3 in the finals and in a nice stadium. The stadium was cool, and then that was it. That was the end. Oh, they all have VODs.
I have a
okay.
VOD. I can link it to you if you'd like.
No, I just wanted to see pick ban really quick,
Oh, sure.
just to like rejog my tilted brain. Okay, what did they pick game 1? It's gotta be something dumb.
I don't know.
It was Heimerdinger,
A
yeah.
couple years ago.
It's
Yeah.
Heimerdinger, those like Heimerdinger's Karmas, whatever. Heimerdinger again. Like it's
Just
really
Saros
like
things.
like I don't know why he doesn't play Oriana now that I think about it. Oh, he's played Zillion. Like what?
I like Azilian, to be fair.
It's not bad, but like Vel'Koz, like why not just pick what's his face? Oriana. I was just wondering that all 5 games, like if you put an Oriana in that team comp would have been perfect.
Yeah. Or
then
Lulu.
There's the famous Echo. Yeah, Lulu would have been good.
We've been seeing like Roki play Lulu even now, right? And he's one of very few people. I can actually check on GOL, but people aren't really playing Lulu mid right now. But it's kind of just one of those things that it works for the player, so you can continue to do it. Yeah, it has. Oh, it's actually being played more as a mid laner than support right now internationally.
Well, I haven't seen any Lulu supports ever, so that's not surprising. But
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of
But
the few people that plays I don't really see like Lulu mid or like Karma mid that often. It's you sometimes see Karma top, but I don't think I've seen like Karma mid at all. But
Karma mid actually has a pretty. It's actually most picked in mid
oh, okay,
around the world.
okay, I didn't
That
know
includes
that.
a bunch of minor regions, and if you look at only major regions, it's even more dominant in the mid lane, where it's got the most picked in mid by a pretty significant margin.
Okay,
So I don't know.
that's
Maybe we'll
interesting.
have to pay a little bit more attention to that. Anyway, coming back to current LJL.
Yeah, let's talk about
Uh,
current LGL. Let's forget about the past. That was all in the past. We're all grown up. We've all matured. Sales has expanded his champion pool, adding Ziggs to his champion pool.
all right, going back. Okay, I have to make one more comment. DFM, when they used to play like Tristana Ziggs as a composition, I thought was really cool.
Oh, to take towers quickly?
Yeah, yeah. So they would do it like they would literally just at some point, Saros would be like, "All right, I'm done being in mid lane now." He walks bottom lane, and then they siege with Tristana Ziggs and take the turret super, super quickly.
Yeah.
And then they just go back mid lane. It's like, okay, we're gonna take a mid lane turret now, and the other team's like, "Wait, please stop! Don't do that, please. I like my turrets." And DFM's like, "Nope, you don't have a choice in the matter."
Yeah, that was fun. To an
But
extent. I mean, but you'd always like lose against Rampage, Pentagram in the finals. Like Tussle
yeah,
and Dara are just like really good at the time.
yeah.
And they
All right,
went
but
through a
looking,
roster of junglers.
do you have any hot takes on either Burning Core or Axes?
I just think
Axes is still
Axis
bad.
is really terrible. So I did a VOD review of Burning Core and Axis, and once the solo kill Smile in the jungle, the bot lane just straight up loses Axis. Like Day One and Lago are losing to Yuhi and Medic, so there's no bot lane priority. So like Smiles is getting destroyed in the bot lane jungle. Roki is destroying Garrier. It's like everyone's just like straight up losing. Like it was the hardest like video to review because there wasn't like I didn't feel there's any opportunity for Axis to come back unless if you like
Just a
get better players, which is like
Yeah, it was your official diagnosis that it's just a case of the lost lanes and you can't do
yeah.
anything about it.
It's like that
Yeah,
that one solo queue game where you get like a bunch of gold players and the enemy team has diamond players. You're like, what's this match fixing? Well, Riot, please fix. That's what it looked like.
yeah,
Like it was just like it was so like confusing to watch. It was like okay, so every lane lost, and jungle now lost, and the
I
game
guess
is
the
now
game's over.
over. Like where I was trying to like go back and try to find opportunities for Axis to make a play here, and I mean
Nope.
if you want to say like Burning Core played their win condition well, which is win lane win game, then yeah sure you can say that, but to me it just
Yeah,
felt more like Axis had no opportunity to come back and win the game, and he just lost.
yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb and make the same claim about Burning Core for this split as I made last split, and that claim is going to be that they are going to consistently beat every team that's below them in the standings and consistently lose to every team that's above them in the standings. So by the end of the split, they should have an almost perfect record of 12-9, right? Where they have 3-0 against everybody worse than them and 0-3 against everybody better than them. Because just looking at the way that they've actually been playing their games, they're playing super, super expected value, and they're not good enough to beat DFM, CGA, and V3, and they are good enough to beat everybody else.
Hmm.
So just looking at them, I think I'm going to make that prediction that they are exactly that good, where they are going to do that once again, and they're going to be exactly where we expect them to be at the end of almost every game. I
Yeah.
know. So what was trying to say is like it's a bit too early to say that, but I'm gonna go ahead and go on record and say that.
No, look, like you have a bunch of rookies. I'm gonna be straight up honest. Like you guys aren't gonna win LGL. If you guys even make playoffs, that's like you throw a big like party and celebration, like woohoo! Like this is amazing. We made playoffs. Like this is a team you look towards 2020. And when I think about that, when I have that idea in my head, I'm like, okay, 2020, this team's gonna pop off. Let's watch. then every week, like I actually like the way the team is moving forward. Like they make dumb mistakes, like Yuhi and Medic make dumb mistakes. Ray Farkey makes dumb mistakes. Once has good performances here and there, like depending on like the game and the team. Roki, I feel like has either been like popping off or being a support player, which is like kind of weird for me, because I feel like Roki's the best player on this team. So I'm like, why wouldn't you just give him all the carry champions and tell everyone else to like protect him? But I guess it makes sense if you're looking at it as a 2020 team. Like, okay, we're gonna teach Yuhi how to carry. We're gonna teach Ray Farkey how to carry. Like, let's go with this. You know, let's see what we can do with this kind of like team. And oh, Yuhi choked, didn't flash properly, or got outplayed. It's like, oh, it's whatever. You know, next year hopefully he'll improve. And with that mindset, I like Burning Core. I like the the direction they're going with this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they are going to. I think this is definitely a team to watch out for. That's going to get better. But just as we previously talked about, like the manager Soa, if you didn't watch last week's or whatever episode, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, he was saying that he's a little bit worried that some of the players are going to get picked up by some of the larger organizations.
Hmm.
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing for the region, but it could hurt Burning Core. So if they're able to hold on to the players that they have, this is definitely a team that you can see starting to make moves over the next couple of years as their players develop. So I'm definitely excited for them. I want to see them continue to develop, but I think our top three this split are pretty much in a lock already.
Yeah, I see. Their contract all ends at the end of the season. That sucks. That's why you want to sign your rookies long term, because if they do turn out to be good, you can hold on to them without having to worry about them being picked up. I mean that happens on any team. Like you know, like, oh, he's trash. You know, he's not good. Don't pick him up. He's a waste of time. He's trash. Oh wait, Burning Core's doing well. Oh, Yuhi's actually really good. We like him. Bring him on. Yeah, let's go get Yuhi. Like I've seen that happen so many times. Or I'm just like talking to other players. Like, for example, like Ramune. Like everyone said Ramune was terrible. He was like on some like shitty team, like Cyclone Gaming or something like that. Maybe it was like
That's
Crest
a
Gaming
long
back
time
then.
ago.
In like the Challenger series, he was playing in like the JCG games and stuff. And everyone told me like, oh, Ramen is really bad. Don't pick him up. Like he's not worth your time. Then he joins Rampage, and then that very same season, everyone started saying Ramen is one of the best mid laners in Japan. He's Japanese faker. Like the same people were telling me, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? I asked you like a month ago, should we pick this player up? And you guys were telling me no, he's bad. And now he's like the best player in Japan. Oh, what did like he all of a sudden wake up and realize he was Superman? And it's like now you can learn. Now he knows that he can solo carry games. Like, no, he was just good, and like people don't realize that. Like they just look at the team and the win rate, and they associate those win rates with those players. Not everyone on Dead Nation is the best player in Japan. Not everyone on Axis is the worst player in Japan. You have good players and bad players mixed together, and that has varying results.
Yeah.
So that's why, you know, Saros is a good player for Dead Nation. Do I think he's the best mid laner in Japan? Of course not. Like those can be like mutually exclusive things. He has all the LGL titles because he works with his team very well. But if I had to give an MVP vote, Saros would be on like near the bottom of my list. I think that's fine.
Really? You think he's on the bottom of the list?
In terms of
Or,
MVPs,
wait. Do you mean? Oh, okay.
like an MVP candidate. He's not even the MVP on his own team, okay? You'd have to like start
alright.
going through.
I get where you're going. I was thinking like a mid lane tier list is like
Oh,
Ceros
okay.
is not bottom tier in Japan for mid laners.
No, I'd say he's around mid tier though.
Yeah.
Because, look, you have Roki, Luna, Dasher, Ace. Then you're starting to look at even his own sub mid laner, Ramune, if you want to consider that and be a jerk. But, like, you know, Taka probably not better at this current moment. Ninja's debatable. So I've already listed, like, 4 mid laners that are better than Roki, which I think is, like, not saying. Like, I don't think I'm, like, really stretching for, like, these better players.
Yeah.
And I think,
I definitely
like,
agree
Ninja
that
and Taka are
Luna
the
and
same.
Tussle, look better than Saros. I don't think Saros is worse than Ace and Roki, but I think there's definitely a conversation to be had there, which is kind of enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's definitely an interesting situation. So I'm excited.
Okay.
Want to look forward a little bit.
Yeah.
Take a look at week
Let's start making
5.
predictions. I think we've talked about every team that needs to be talked
Yeah.
about.
Ooh,
Um,
wait. Crest Gaming versus Detonation Focus Me is coming up this
so
week.
you have to look at week 5 and week 6. This is a
All
super
right.
week. Some teams get
Bleh.
to play 4 games in a weekend. Some teams only get to play 3. Why is that? Nobody knows. It's scheduling, but still, like the way they scheduled it. I've had talks about this all the time, about how they could fix the scheduling format. Maybe
Yeah.
So What can bring that up. Like for example, week 6, Sengoku only plays 1 game, and Axis only plays against 1 game. But USG plays 2 games, and Axis opponent Detonation plays 2 games. So for Detonation, that doesn't really matter. But like it gives Sengoku a slight advantage because they only have to prep for 1 player or 1 team that weekend. Or I guess
Yeah.
not this weekend, but like that specific day. So if they made Axis and Sengoku play each other, then both of them only have to practice against 1 team each, and that kind of levels the playing field a little bit, rather than having them have to play against a team that has to prep for 2, while they only have to prep for 1. So that,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to change the amount of games. You fix the scheduling issue. I think it's overall better, but I don't know. Like, there's probably gonna
Not
be
our
some
decision.
reason. Yes,
I wonder
there's
if they
odd
just do
number
the
of games
schedule at the
total,
beginning.
but
Yeah, maybe they just do the schedule at the beginning, and then they're like, "Oh, mate, now we need to make this week a super week," and then
like
they don't
the
change
problem
the
is that
schedule
because
from
they
there.
play 21 games,
Yeah,
so it makes sense like why there would be a scheduling conflict. Because if you play 21 games, that's an odd amount number of games. Here, let me try to see if I can show you guys. I'll cover my face up. This is gonna be like really bad right now.
I'm excited.
So you can check up on the stream. So I mean, we're done talking about the game, so I'll tell you about my plan for how I think I can fix this. So this is like a normal weekend. So there's 7 games played, right? Axis and Sengoku only play 1 game this weekend. So if you do my plan and if you move Axis and replace them with like USG, so they like swap in and out, then USG would have to play against RJ and Detonation, while Axis only plays against Sengoku. That way, USG and Detonation both have to play against someone that has to prep for 2 opponents, and Axis and Sengoku only have to play against an opponent that only has to prep for 1 opponent. So
I just
that's
want you to know that everything that you were looking at and trying to do didn't show up on stream. I still see you.
really okay. Oh, that's right, because I'm only sharing Discord. I'm not sharing my screen. Ah, fuck it. Whatever. I'm tilted.
This is the
Okay.
quality production people are coming here for in the first place. Anyway, I mean, there's a couple interesting games that are going to be taking place this upcoming weekend. Obviously, we have Crest Gaming versus Detonation Focus Me is the first big one, and the other big one is V3 versus Crest Gaming, already having a rematch only a week later.
What? Why?
Woohoo!
I mean,
Scheduling.
I'm happy, but like, that's weird.
It's an extended best of 3.
Okay, well, I mean, like, I mean, I'm happy. It's just like I was expecting it to be a little bit more later, but oh, okay, sure,
Yeah,
why
I mean,
not?
they have to play each other 3 times, right? So it is
Yeah.
kind of inevitable that you get some of these back-to-back games. But so let's start with the first one, Crest Gaming versus DFM. You got any predictions?
I think DFM has a very good chance of winning, as long as Saros plays. That's going to be my little caveat. And Saros doesn't play something stupid like LeBlanc or anything like that. He plays like Ziggs, Heimerdinger, Karma, whatever. Then, I think Detonation has a very good chance of winning this game. I think Detonation overall has the better players in every position. Almost every position. And, like, player for player, pound for pound, I think Detonation are the favorites. They have way more synergy with Saros. There's still, like, rookie role swapping. I think Evie should be able to be better than Grendel. I don't think Grendel will lose lane, but I think it'll be a good matchup, and I think Detonation should come up on top. But obviously they've lost twice, and Crest Gaming has looked really clean, so it's not like a huge favorite. I would give it like 60-40 in Detonation's favor. The Detonation wins this game, and it's a best of one, so who knows? The Crest Gaming could pull out some crazy pick that's overpowered and win the whole game.
Luna's Kiana is absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I banned it in solo queue because after I saw the game I was like, fuck that. What
That's
is
not
that?
happening in my game.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Oh, Achamomo might get Yumi again. And I feel like the reason why he will get Yumi is because you want to ban out Luna and Art over Achamomo. But who
I feel
knows?
like it's really hard to ban out Art. Right. I don't know if there's anything that I really want to take away from Art, like as a pick,
Yeah.
other than maybe Sivir. But at that point, just you ban Yumi instead.
I would ban Yumi, to be honest. Just
Yeah.
make sure you can kill Achamomo, because I feel like Yutapon and Gang should be the better ball lane. Should be able to like smash through that duo. So if they
Yeah.
just get like a good 2v2 team comp, and then win lane, they could probably win game. Like like pick Lucian and Braum.
Yeah. I'm gonna agree. I think Detonation Focus Me, if they play Saros, should be slightly favored. I think it's a little bit narrower. I'm gonna go with like 55-45 in DFM's favor. Partly just because I think the difference in Evi versus Grendel will become too much later on in the game. We saw this a little bit when they with Donshu up against Cogcog, where they tried to play Ornn and bring him to the rest of the team, and it just let Cogcog run wild. I think we've seen this before. Like Evi is just such a strong split pusher against most of the people in Japan that he's running over people like Paz and Optimum later on into the game. And Grendel doesn't really have the strength as a player necessary to really push back. So I think that will eventually become the tipping point if Crest Gaming doesn't somehow run over one of the other lanes.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. I think that would be a very exciting match. Like, I feel like top 3 is kind of solidified right now.
Yeah.
With the caveat that maybe Sengoku actually gets a brain and starts to turn it around. Or if Burning Core, like, upsets a few people, maybe they can sneak in, but
Yeah.
I feel like the top 3 are kind of locked in as of right now.
I hope you're watching Maple Street.
Yeah, I feel sorry for people. Every week, it's always something. Like, every week I shit on Senko Gaming in English, and then I stream, and I shit on them in Japanese. It's like, oh, they're shitting on my team in both languages. Since some Chinese person or some Korean person starts shitting on them, like, everyone in multiple languages will start shitting on Sengoku. That's how we will make world peace. We'll all agree upon. We'll be at the United Nations Union, or, like, meeting. Everyone in multiple languages will be like, Sengoku Gaming sucks, Mad! The French guy will get mad. Niet, the Russians. Everything. And then we will all form a united bond. We will all thank Sengoku Gaming for that.
World. All right, the one other game before we go, I think, and if anybody has questions, go ahead and throw them in Twitch chat or hit us up on Twitter. Crest Gaming versus V3, the rematch.
I'm excited.
Any thoughts?
Crest Gaming should win.
Yeah.
What's an upset win? Let's go with an upset win. What do you think is the, like, what would be your pick for a chance for an upset?
So one of the bottom 5 teams to beat one of the top 3 teams. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Or
Yeah,
just
bottom
in general?
5.
Okay.
Let's go with bottom 5, like Burning Core through Axis versus, like, the top 3. Which one of those teams has a chance to beat one of the top 3 teams this week?
Oh man, Burning Core's got a rough schedule. Actually, they play all of the top 3 teams. They're going to be playing DFM on day 1, and then CGA and V3 on day 2. So, I think the most likely upset we'll end up seeing will be Burning Core against V3. Simply because Burning Core challenges V3 in the right places. overall. Like if they can find a good pick for Ray Farkey in particular, as he matches up against Paz. Paz is a volatile enough of a player that he can totally collapse sometimes, almost out of nowhere. And especially if they're able to attack that in particular, I think it's a real opportunity for them to take a game off of them. Roki and Ace, I think, is kind of a wash. I think they're similar enough in how they want to play. So if ones can nullify Baby early on and really limit his impact, if they don't have the grog, I mean, I don't know if you were watching V3, how much you were watching, but Baby did like nothing for the first half of his Gragas game, and then he remembered, oh wait, I have a really good ultimate, and I have a body slam that I can pair with a flash, and he starts killing everyone. But if he doesn't get to that point, if he doesn't remember, like, hey, I'm playing a really good champion, then Burning Core, I think, will be the one to take it down.
V3's secret weapon will be sticky notes to put on their monitor. You have body slam flash. He like looks at the course like, oh wait, I have that. Oh, we just won. Baby will become MVP. When he lifts up the world's trophy, he'll be like, it is all thanks to sticky notes. Please buy them. Thank you for sponsoring us.
Yeah, I'm gonna just quote one of my good friends. Like whenever the game looks dire, it's always just you have to remember. It's like, but what if they forget? What if they forget to win the game? I think that's something that V3 can end up doing if Baby and Paz aren't in the right frame of mind when the game actually takes off.
Okay. If Burning Core beats one or two of these teams, like that they're playing against, they have a chance of going to playoffs.
Yeah, they do.
And if Sengoku Gaming loses to V3, they're pretty much done. Like, it'll be very hard for them to make playoffs. So that will be fun when you watch Blank's heart crumble up to pieces when he goes home and sees his 2 Worlds trophies. Then he says LJL 7th place or something like that right next to it. What a career.
Okay. Do you think Blank will stay in Japan after this split?
Absolutely not, unless if he's like a giant weeb and loves anime, then maybe. But if he is a competitor, he will be on the first flight out of Japan, back to like any region other than Japan. Any region that'll take him is basically what I think. Like he's just wasting his time. Like, he could go to China, get a nice paycheck, retire, go to the army. He can go to like Europe, even NA probably would take him. Some Korean team might take him, but he won't be making bank. Oh, Turkish team would love to take him. He should go to Turkey. Blank, if you're watching, go to Turkey. I'll learn how to say that in Korean. I'll message you. But go to Turkey. They have the cash. They will pay you money. You might not win, but it will be better than Japan. Just collect that paycheck, retire, and have a nice vacation. And yeah, I don't think Once is that good, but he is turning my opinions around this season. He's playing pretty good, so I might have to stop shitting on Once and find someone else to shit on. Right now it's been Sengoku.
Forget to attack the Nexus. What if they forget?
I mean, Axis forgot to pick up 5 players, so that's a possibility.
Ooh,
it's burning them all. I had a really disgusting analogy for Sengoku, but I think it's too crude to say it on stream. I was just thinking, like, all these like teams, like the bottom teams, like Sengoku, maybe USG's kind of looking better. Like, Rascals Jester has good moments. I guess it's like the worst teams to watch for me would probably be Axis and Sengoku. Sengoku is probably a little bit higher just because they do give me views and I actually get people asking me questions. But if Sengoku didn't have that fame, they might actually be below Axis. Because Axis is depressing to watch and Sengoku is tilting to watch. So, but my upset game, I want to say it's Sengoku versus V3.
Ooh.
If Sengoku wins, I'm going to be strapping into that hype train. We're going to go full blast to the playoffs. If they lose, slam that eject button. I'm out. I'm not supporting this team anymore. They are done. Because I can
I mean-
imagine a world where they lose to V3, gets so tilted, and then they lose to Access, and then Blank just looks at the edge of this, like, this desk and sees, can I kill myself by jumping off this? Is it possible? Like, he looked so depressed after that RJ game. He, like, left the game, he did Alt F4, got out. He, like, didn't even want to watch the game anymore. He was just like, I felt
over.
so bad. From his smiles at winning Worlds to his depressed face at losing in the Japan League.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, poor Blank. But he chose this path, so yeah. Okay, any final topics? Anything you want to say before we wrap up? Because I think we're pretty much done.
No, I think that's it. Another good week. I'm excited to see what we're gonna get over the next couple of days with this next week, because there's a lot of big playoffs contention. Or you know what I'm trying to say. Lots of games that will be important for playoffs coming up fairly soon. So I'm excited to see what happens as we get into weeks 5 and 6, which is actually just 1 week because
Yeah.
Japan doesn't know how to write out a schedule.
I don't think they know what a week is. A week is 7 days, not 1 day of the week. It's really weird how they do it, but whatever. It's Japan.
Alright, it happens.
Anything happening to you? Anything we should keep an eye out for?
No, I will not be here next week. So if you do choose to do Recall Japan, I won't be there, unfortunately. I'm going to be in Europe, which makes scheduling even more difficult because I'd probably have to do
Okay.
it from my phone. So,
What are you doing in
That's about
Europe?
it.
Or can you not talk about it?
vacation.
Oh, okay. I thought it was some like big esports thing. Like, oh, you're going to the ELCS, ditching NA, gonna go join G2,
Fun.
the rival team. Okay.
Come on over. Let's do it.
Um,
All right.
I'm not sure what we're gonna do next week. I'm still talking around, asking around, but hopefully we can get an exciting episode done still. And yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately EU
Oh, yeah.
is greater than NA. All hail the EU overlords. And I think we are done. I'll probably stream later on. Maybe not. I don't know if I want to talk about the LGL, but I will try to stream tomorrow. We can watch the LGL games together if you
Ooh.
are down for that. So, okay. So, this was episode 5 of Recall Japan. We shat on Sengoku a little bit. Sorry, I saw So What's name
As always.
and I thought of Burning Core. I don't hate Burning Core. Let me get that
I like
straight.
Burning Core.
I like
Burning
Burning
Core.
Core. I just saw So What's name, and for some reason, I associate that with Burning Core, so I said Burning Core, but whatever. We made fun of Sengoku. We talked about VT and Crest. We talked about all the important teams. Burning Core is still looking decent for a bunch of rookies, and I am excited. So that's episode 5. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next week.